So some trends. The current state of project and portfolio management for engineering is continually evolving like it is in most markets, and it's driven by advancements in technology, changing project demands, which include demands of our customers, and the growing emphasis on efficiency and sustainability and other things that we have to comply with. And here are some trends and aspects of PPM in engineering, just some factors. By no means is it, exhaustive. Digital transformation in organizations. In many industries, it's changing, and the engineering component or engineering specific organizations are undergoing digital transformation. And this includes the adoption of digital tools, that includes project and portfolio management, and AI-driven analytics and collaborative software that help us make us more effective. And there's integrated systems and a move towards systems that bring everything into a common pane of glass or a common hub. And that's where OnePlan we're going to show you comes into play here today. It includes one place for planning, scheduling, resource management, financials, etc., all on a unified platform with built-in integrations to the things that we need to tie into. And agile and iterative approaches. As organizations try to become more responsive, they try to become more agile. And these methodologies are increasing, even in engineering projects. And it allows for more flexibility, faster iterations, and better responsiveness to changing requirements as it is in areas where we do just software development. And then data-driven decision-making is becoming paramount because we have the access to big data sets, because advanced analytics are available. AI is now becoming in vogue, and people are figuring out ways to capitalize on that. We can use it to analyze project data, predict outcomes, and optimize resource allocation better than ever before. And these are things that are, critical for success in engineering projects. And then risk management. Engineering projects really probably as much as, if not more so than most project types, have risk management as a critical focus. And PPM tools in this arena need to focus on robust risk assessment and mitigation features that we can stay on top of that and avoid the pitfalls. Then remote collaboration. It started with the pandemic, but probably more prevalent now is a remote virtual workforce, and having the ability to be effective when everybody is not co-located in the same office, and now with more geographically and globally dispersed teams, it becomes even more paramount that these capabilities need to be mastered, and we need to become effective in this mode. Then, of course, sustainability is something that many engineering projects have a strong focus on, and it just adds to the level of complexity of factors that need to be considered in to end up being successful and compliant at the end of our projects to deem them as successful. So major challenges of modern engineering projects. I mean, project management, portfolio management has its own challenges, but things that are specific to modern engineering. There's complexity, the interdisciplinary nature of projects, because you've got a lot of different internal and external parts of the organization and resources that need to be involved with their own requirements and constraints. There's technical complexity. There's globalization, as we talked about with the remote workforce, and that may involve not only your teams, but your supply chains and other regulatory environments that you have to comply with. On the budget and cost management side of things, projects frequently exceed initial budgets due to unforeseen circumstances. Change happens, and resource allocation and balancing costs with resource availability and having the right skill sets is something that's a challenge. Schedule and time constraints. Oftentimes in engineering, we're dealing with tight deadlines, and sometimes we're maybe overly optimistic when we actually estimate our schedules and such. On the risk management side of things, there's a lot of uncertainty in engineering, especially when we're doing more research and development and getting into new product areas, such as to respond to things such as market changes or technical failures or regulatory updates. And so the ground keeps shifting on us as we go through there. And the risk identification we really alluded to. Technology integration. There's rapid advancements in keeping up with new technology as we're doing engineering in technology, for example, and be able to integrate these things to stay current and make them effective into the projects and products that we have is something that is a challenge. Plus, we might have legacy systems that might be challenged in order to take advantage of some of these technological advances. And then sustainability, environment impact. Increasingly we have regulatory compliance and environmental things to comply with, and that may be different for different geographies, etc., as we go through that. And stakeholder management, as these projects become more complex and have more people to deal with and more people to comply with, our stakeholders become more diverse, and communication with them and keeping everybody on the same page becomes more of a challenge. There's quality control, right? There's supply chain disruptions in this current world, and material shortages what we're dealing with. Human resources, getting the right resources with the right skills, and hard to find good people these days. Not to mention the requirements we may have in our organizations for workforce diversity and inclusion requirements. You know, there's a health and safety aspect when we're putting products out there. Regulatory compliance, ethical considerations, data management, it goes on and on. So the idea is that some of these things are common to different type of projects, but some of them are more emphasized when we're talking about modern engineering projects. So common components of engineering projects, not unlike a lot of other types of projects in your organization. You know, we got to come up with scope definition. We have to do the project planning, right? We have to do design and development from concept all the way through detailed design, maybe prototype and testing, and then iterate into the refinement of those types of things. Procurement and logistics. Usually in engineering, there's materials and supplies and products that are involved, and we have to go through that whole process. You know, construction or manufacturing, depending on the type of engineering that we're doing. It could be constructing, it could be manufacturing. And the idea is we have to put those plans in place and then execute on that aspect of it. Then there's the testing of it and the commissioning of it and getting these things out to market. You know, documentation that has to happen through all these things with technical documents and drawings, et cetera, and certificates. There's the project management aspect of this, where we have to not only communicate up and down the chain and across our organizations and to our stakeholders, but then there's the change management piece that has to be you know, brought under control, as well as budget and cost management and stakeholder management. And then obviously once we deliver, we have to hand over and close out and make sure that our customers and our clients accept it, that we make sure that the people that need to be trained do, and then we got to capture some lessons learned around the things from our experience as we go, because not everything goes according to plan. Then obviously when we deliver something, we got to support it typically, and then there's maintenance, warranty support, performance monitoring. So once again, complex dimensions, all that have to be harnessed. And how do we do this all under one umbrella? Well, if we're engineering in regards to developing products, you know, it's more than just each individual effort. You know, product portfolio management is about developing and implementing a comprehensive and profitable business strategy for your company's entire product line or product lines. And it's a goal to make this as strong and as relevant and as profitable as we can. And so product portfolio management goes way beyond just singular product management and day-to-day project management of that product. You know, we have to understand the goals and the benefits and boost our company's product bottom line, but also make sure that we're in alignment with where we want to go as an organization and in alignment with the marketplace and what we need to deliver. So the benefits of this is that we can actually, you know, have visibility and evaluate product performance. You know, are things still worthy of being emphasized? You know, has the market moved on from these types of things? We can increase efficiency by looking at which products meet company goals and prioritize stronger products and maybe de-emphasize other products that aren't contributing the way they should. Improve the competitive ranking by tracking market trends. And businesses are better able to pinpoint customer needs, and if we can better adapt to changing market trends, we can become and maintain our leadership position in those markets. Centralizing data allows us to have teams and cross-functional departments that need to be involved in these things to better communicate with each other and stay on the same page and deliver the right things at the end of the day. It also gives us the ability to determine and prepare for risks across all dimensions of things. Research from the Manufacturers Alliance said that 61% of product managers rate product lifecycle and portfolio management as very or extremely important to their role, because product portfolio management helps make decisions in line with the reality of their product successes, meaning we don't have our heads in the sand and just keep throwing good money after bad if things aren't working. Now, portfolio management software that addresses some of these pain points and challenges that we have should have data analytics, product road mapping tools, risk management features, budget tracking, resource allocation, scheduling capabilities, time tracking where you need to do that, and then portfolio ranking tools so that you can actually, you know, stay on top of the things that we talked about. This is just a subset of the things we're going to talk about here today. On top of that, organizations are getting different methodologies. The move towards more agile approaches even hit engineering and product development. meaning agile is growing. People are trying to become agile and more responsive. The waterfall is still widely used for some projects or for certain parts of projects as we go through different stages. Some may do more of the requirements and assessment pieces in a more waterfall approach, where their actual product development and research is happening in a more agile fashion, using sprints and backlogs. Or there may be some hybrid methodologies that combine both of those things, or some cherry-picked versions. And the idea, regardless of that, because different methodologies, people may be using different tool sets and maybe using different approaches. So the different methodologies, some may be agile, some may be more waterfall. You might be using different tool sets that are more conducive to the approach that you're using. Now, the ability to bring that all up into a common portfolio solution for all this strategically is something that OnePlan brings to the party. In this case, bringing tools like an Azure DevOps or a Jira or a Microsoft project or even just OnePlan itself, and roll those together into a common pane of glass and visibility. This holds true even if leadership, or if all of our teams are doing agile, and leadership maybe still wants more traditional business metrics. The idea, we have to be able to provide that. So even if we're doing agile and people are looking at things like sprints and burn-ups and burn-downs and velocity, leadership oftentimes still wants the language of business, and they want financials, and they want delivery dates, and they want other things that might not be part of what the teams are focused on. So hence, taking that and extending it to the concept of strategic portfolio management is important. It's a set of business capabilities, processes, and supporting portfolio management technology. But if you look at this diagram on the right, we have objectives or strategies. We might have tangible key results on that strategy execution to help track that strategy execution for leadership. But then we might have things like projects and epics and agile efforts and features for epic efforts, or maybe product development. And they may be aligned with product lines, right, or products. They may be aligned with business capabilities or applications or value streams for continuous development and delivery. And the idea is these things have to interrelate. We have to factor all these things into our decision making and into our delivery, because if we want a success, if any one of these things falls down, it could impact the success of our overall effort. So leadership requires strategic portfolio management, or SPM, to support enterprise-wide strategy and execution alignment. We talked about cross-functional projects that get a lot of different departments and stakeholders involved. In order to keep that on track across the board, SPM really is required. And also, it has to factor in other elements other than the project or the product itself. There's business capabilities that may need to be modified or modernized. There's digital and physical products that we may be dependent on that have to be updated. Applications and other projects that we are dependent on for maybe some foundational technologies and things like that. We all have to have our eyes on those and be associated with those in order to deliver at the end of the day. And so we capture and define and prioritize business strategies, then we manage the execution of the initiatives that we have in engineering, and then the programs and the projects that drive the achievement of these strategies are executed on and provide full visibility on how they're related to the core functional assets that they're dependent on or that they're related to. Ultimately, it's because this world has gotten more complex and the landscape has gotten more complex that we need to factor these things in. So leadership sets direction. Your IT or functional management owns the critical assets and infrastructure that we are dependent on. And the execution teams plan and deliver whatever projects or products they are in pursuit of in achieving those business goals. So the good news is that even though you may be sitting there saying, well, we're not doing all these things right now. Well, you don't have to. But I will say this, the pace of change and environmental turbulence out there in the marketplace is still going to create strain for organizations whether we do something or not. And the need for agility and strategic portfolio management is still there. There is room for improvement. Recent studies, and this one I believe was from the Gartner Group, said that only 16% of organizations are highly effective at all three key attributes of strategic portfolio management, which is portfolio alignment, ongoing portfolio flexibility, and value-driven decision-making. Means many have a long way to go. And then you don't have to tackle it all at once. Let's, build a roadmap for improving how we do things and maybe eventually adopt all these disciplines, but get on the road to that improvement as we go through. Because if we leave a fragmented approach and don't have this comprehensive strategic portfolio management view, it can lead to excessive costs, conflicting priorities, redundant processes and work, and even misaligned goals between different parts of the organization or contributors. So the other part of it is to keep our eye on the ball. Strategically, we have to be getting these new products and these new services and the other things that we're engineering out there into the marketplace. And it's very easy to get sucked into the day-to-day operational crises and divert our attentions and our bandwidth to those things and lose sight of or lower the priority of the strategic things that we're trying to do and deliver for the organization. We need visibility to that to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, OnePlan provides a path to strategic portfolio management, and it provides a complete solution for the enterprise for these cross-functional efforts. On the strategy side, we've got facilities for the business leaders to define their strategies, maybe with objectives and key results, OKRs, or develop value streams that we're going to develop to. That things are the key deliveries of value for our organization. The execution leaders that have the project and product development efforts. And some of those things may be using a more adaptive approach with different mixed methodologies, maybe pure agile approaches, maybe professional services automation, maybe product management. The idea is that one or all of those things can be fit under the same umbrella here in OnePlan. And then the functional leaders, the ones that have the enterprise architecture and the infrastructure, application portfolio management for the technologies and the applications that we might depend on to be able to deliver. And the product portfolio management as we're managing the life cycle of the products that we're engineering, the things that we're delivering to the marketplace. So OnePlan provides a very robust set of capabilities. From the upfront strategy piece where, we actually have, OKRs from leadership that might have objectives and key results that we're tracking to, that we're trying to strive to deliver on. The enterprise architecture, that's the fundamental underpinnings of the things that we have as an organization that allow us to deliver, whether they be product portfolios, whether they be application portfolios, whether they be business capabilities, et cetera. The idea here is that we need to factor that in, and there's a facility in here to identify those things, as well as ideation and requests. Once we have a strategy and an enterprise architecture, ideas come in from our internal and external customers or even our employees to say, these are the things that we think that we should be working on. And maybe they're putting in business cases. And we're vetting those based on the context of the strategy and the enterprise architecture that we have and the overall mission and vision of the company to see what we should be working on. Ultimately, we have to decide on that. And we have portfolio planning that allows us to decide what efforts out of that mix in the strategy elements are we going to work on and are we going to embark upon, right? What are we going to fund? And then we might be looking at things from a more agile approach. We might look at it from a more roadmap type of delivery approach or a variety of ways. But one of the things we have to factor in is our ability to provide resources and the bandwidth we have to deliver. And we have to reconcile the things we desire to do with our ability to apply resources to them in an effective way. And the capacity planning is a constraint. Same with the financial planning. Do we have the budgets to do the things we want to achieve the benefits that we think we're going to achieve? And as the situations change on the ground on us, like we talked about earlier on, do we have the ability to evaluate alternatives quickly and look at what we might change course on and what the impacts that might have on resourcing or financials and other aspects, to be able to do what if scenario modeling? Ultimately, we're going to decide on a portfolio to execute on, and you need the tools to execute. Now, OnePlan has its own work planning tools for both waterfall planning and for agile planning with backlogs and sprints. But many organizations have already committed a lot of time, effort, and thought and other aspects into other planning tools. So the common planning tools that you find out there on the work planning side, whether it be Microsoft Project, Smartsheet, right, Monday.com, et cetera, we can bring that data into the portfolio should you want to hang on to that, even though we have our own tools that you don't need those. On the agile side, using Azure DevOps or Jira or other tools like that, that's available to us. We talked about risk management being important. To be able to log risks and keep your eye on those, as well as log issues and change requests, lessons learned, et cetera, OnePlan has that ability innately built right into it so that you can track that all under the same umbrella. Now, the capacity plan that we came up with in the planning stage oftentimes is based upon the resource planning that's done on an individual project or initiative level. And those things are usually planned out and negotiated between the people that are responsible for the projects and with the people who are responsible for delivering the resources. And those all roll up into an overall capacity plan. Now, to keep things on the same page, team members are just as important. The people that are working on your projects, giving them a single pane of glass to go to look at their my work so that they can see what's on their plate, what's expected, how they're prioritized, and provide feedback, status, and updates and comments, etc., about the things that they're working on back to the organization or back to the project or back to the product management as you need to. And timesheets are built right in, so if you need to report time for things like capitalization of labor or chargebacks or billing to customers, that's available to us as well. And then ultimately, all the reporting, individual status reports on your initiatives, dashboards for portfolio, program, product level information. And visualizations, we talked about all these complex things that are tied together, all these different dimensions. How are they interrelated? And we can graphically visualize those things in OnePlan. Ultimately, these things all come together so that we can deliver what we intend to deliver to our internal and external customers. Now, we talked about AI, artificial intelligence. OnePlan does have its own built-in AI assistant. We call her Sophia, and Sophia GPT. And she can be leveraged to assist us in all these different dimensions in the solution. It's always present within the OnePlan solution. Ultimately, you pull all these things together so that we can decide on the right work or the things that are the right things for the organization to be working on, and then ultimately to execute well and do the work right. So we do the right work and we do the work right. So Sophia GPT is a game changer. It's AI-driven collaboration for strategic portfolio management, and it is based on Microsoft Azure OpenAI model. And as opposed to OpenAI's ChatGPT on the open internet, this has more security, compliance, and privacy of the data than you might have on the open internet. So we chose to use the Microsoft version of this. Now, it provides intuitive interaction like you would with ChatGPT. You make language-based prompts, you get language-based replies and responses. And it accesses data from both OpenAI's extensive network of language models as well as their its knowledge, but also leverages OnePlan's own information as far as the discipline of SPM, and the data that actually is being presented within OnePlan is factored into the answers that Sophia provides. So it helps us in a lot of areas like data entry, information retrieval, anomaly detection, analysis, etc. And Sophia is always available to us in OnePlan. So if you look at here, I'm looking at a portfolio view in OnePlan, and in the lower right, we actually have an icon for Sophia that's available there at all times, and we can then call her up, and it gives us some common things we might want to ask her as examples, but you can then invent your own and ask those prompts down below, just like you would in ChatGPT. And then ultimately, where we're at with this is if you look at where it says now across the bottom, that's where Sophia is. She's an inbuilt AI assistant for strategic portfolio management. But I will say that we are already developing into that next wave in the future where we may have some autonomous, fully automated mode where Sophia can assess and promote and actually do some things for us proactively in advance of us actually prompting her to do something. So the idea here is that this is just beginning, but we have a fully functional, high-value tool right now, but it's only going to get better. Now, when you incorporate generative AI into overall strategic portfolio management practices, we're not asking people or suggesting that people should change the overall fundamental aspects of strategic portfolio management. According to the Gartner Group, these are some of the key pieces here. So, for example, here we can use AI to help us streamline portfolio intake and prioritization by doing analysis and helping give us suggestions on what it is we should consider approving through that intake process. We might build next generation talent. We are going to, as a workforce in our areas, have people that get proficient at using AI in their day-to-day to help augment their skill sets and help make them more efficient. If we don't, we're going to lag behind those that do. And we need to embrace disruptive technologies because those actually come into these portfolios. They affect our products, as we talked about. Technological advancements affects our products and the things we engineer on, regardless of the type of engineering that we do. And then if we don't embrace those disruptive technologies and find ways to accommodate them as part of our portfolio, we may have less than stellar results in relation to our competitors. So sample use cases for AI and strategic portfolio management. These are some that we're doing today right in OnePlan, helping us with our strategic planning, our portfolio optimization, our overall work management, schedule management, risk assessment, resource allocation, investment forecasting, and kind of analyzing and giving us help on the financial aspects of things. And for example, let's just use this as a case. Here's an example that I recorded about business case definition, and just say we have a project for some technology product and the engineering of that, and we wanted to build a business case for that. We could actually come in here and ask it that question. We could basically say, provide a business case for this project. That's all I said. It's knowing the characteristics that I gave it, very limited information, the name of the project, inferring the subject matter, and it's now going to give me a business case narrative, including an executive summary, a background, develop strong digital marketing capabilities, problem statement, etc., and all narrating this through the business case format that we want. Now, this should augment what we do in our knowledge of this. You know, we don't have to accept this verbatim, but I will tell you this, it gives us a great start instead of doing this from scratch each and every time as we go through here, as we look at those aspects. On the strategy side of things, let's just say we were looking at strategic objectives and key results for technology product engineering. We could come in here and ask it that question. So I could ask it, provide some viable OKRs for technology product engineering. And what it comes back with is some objectives, in this case, 3 key results on that first objective of improving product quality and stability, enhance product features and user experience, accelerate product development cycles, strengthen customer and product support, etc. And it's giving me those things that I can use as a basis to make these the objectives and key results that we're striving for as an organization. Once again, you don't have to take it verbatim, but it's sure giving us a great idea instead of coming up with these things from scratch.